Joining us again in a Fox Business exclusive is former U.S. Attorney General Michael Mukasey. Fox Business's Dagen, McDowell, and SkyBridge Capital founder Anthony Scaramucci are still here with me. Michael, I want to start with you first because the headlines really coming out of this Ethiopian press conference is the attack that we just saw from President Obama on the Republican Party in the midst of these elections.
Well, it's a predictable phenomenon, and I found it amusing that he said he wanted to make sure that the person he turned the keys over to was capable of doing the job. I didn't think it was the function of a president to decide who his successor would be. They do that in other countries. We don't do it here.
Michael, there is the thought, however, that because Dagen pointed out that he did stop short of, attacking Republicans, but then yet he didn't endorse Hillary Clinton. There is the thought out there, and we've heard it on this show from a lot of strategists, both on the left and the right, that he's waiting on Joe Biden to throw his hat in the ring, and then he will endorse him. What do you make of that?
Well, if I had to bet money on that, I would bet on it. I think that he's done all of the things that you would do to prepare the ground to enter the race. Everything from going to Baltimore to all sorts of little public steps, and the fact that the president has withheld endorsement from Mrs. Clinton, I think, just makes it all the more apparent.
Why do you think Vice President Joe Biden is waiting, Mike? What's the strategy behind that, in your opinion?
Oh, wait for some more damage to be done. Wait for Bernie Sanders to rise in the polls. I think that the relationship here is the same, essentially, as Gene McCarthy and Bobby Kennedy. I mean, Gene McCarthy damaged the president back in the day, and then
this would be Lyndon Johnson.
When the damage had been done, Bobby Kennedy stepped in and announced his candidacy.
This seemed to, Mike, it seemed that the president, because he started talking about the Republicans by name, which was a little bit shocking, related to the Iran deal. But then he kind of goes off course because he started talking about Trump's comments about Senator McCain, and this arises out of a culture of attacks that have become far too common. He's certainly not going to sell the Iran deal going after the Republican presidential candidates, is he?
He's going to sell it any way he can, and it's easy for him to get up and characterize opponents in any way that he likes because, as I said before, there's nobody sitting on the other side of the table calling him on it.
Right.
The fact is that the rhetoric, as he puts it, is coming from everybody from John McCain himself, who opposes the deal, Lindsey Graham, who opposes the deal, to people in his own party who oppose the deal, and for good reason. And those people he doesn't mention.
So Governor Huckabee's comments over the weekend were directly addressed by the president in the speech just moments ago. Huckabee over the weekend made some comments, and he has not backed off them, by the way, saying that President Obama, with this nuclear deal, has basically marched Israelis to the door of the oven. The president's foreign policy, he said, is the most feckless in American history. Meanwhile, the President Obama responds to those comments directly, saying, if you're asking me how our argument is going, it's going great. The politics of Washington and the rhetoric that takes place there, that doesn't always go great. Anthony.
Well, okay, so just put it in a historical context. In the last time Israel or the state of Jewry was threatened, what did Europe do? They held compliance with Adolf Hitler. And so when you go to Israel and you're super worried about the existence of Israel, you would not be a supporter of this deal. And so the president and I could argue about that, and he would be losing on the facts, because all you have to do is get on the ground in Israel and recognize what the existential threats are.
And by the way, he finished up by saying, the particular comments of Mr. Huckabee, I think, are part of just a general pattern that we've seen that would be considered ridiculous if it weren't so sad.